Hi, you guys. Today we are going to be talking about something very popular and something a lot of us don't quite understand to its full depth. That is calories in versus calories out. So let's talk about what it actually means and how it can affect us and our progress. Stay tuned. Alright, so let's talk about calories in. Now, to a lot of us, that just means the food that we put in our mouth. And that's a great place to start. But the reality is that the food that we put into our mouths might not equate to the amount of nutrients that we are actually absorbing in our body. So we need to understand that although counting calories can be a good practice to maintain consistency and good habits, those calories that you are recording and putting into your mouth, as mentioned, probably aren't equal to what our body is actually absorbing. Now, this discrepancy can be caused by a couple things, some of which are out of our control, like the way that our body digests, our digestive system, and some biological things that we might not have complete 100% control over, but there are other things, external factors, that we can control. There are some practices that we can start putting into place to make sure that the food that we are eating is nicely broken down and absorbed as best as possible into our body. One of those things is to eat slowly. Now, if you're anything like me, you eat super fast, and this takes a lot of effort. But make sure that you're putting down your knife and fork in between bites. You're making sure that you're not distracted and just inhaling your food. Take the time to enjoy your meal, even set a clock if you have to, and record the amount of time it takes you to eat one meal. The next time you eat a similar sized meal, try and increase the amount of time it takes you by 1 to 2 minutes. Other things we can do is make sure that we're not eating in a very stressed out environment. Our body needs to be in a pretty relaxed state in order for the digestive system to work optimally. So if you're somebody who likes to eat lunch at their desk in the middle of the office while everything's going on, I really suggest that you try and maybe take your lunch outside, you make it a peaceful environment, and you just take the hour to yourself so that you can allow the food that you eat to really digest properly. Now, although at the end of the day, we don't have 100% control, as I mentioned, over the way our body digests food, these little practices can go a long way in making sure that the calories that you are recording equate the calories that your body is actually digesting. There are many other factors that come into play when trying to figure out how many calories our body is actually absorbing. Now, 100% accuracy is next to impossible, so I suggest starting with these small practices and then moving from there. Now let's talk about calories out, or energy output. Okay, now there are 4 things that come into play when determining how many calories our body is burning. It's not just how much exercise we get. So if you're somebody who's tracking your calories on maybe your Fitbit or your Apple Watch, I want you to challenge yourself to look a little bit further and realize that there are other things that come into play when determining how many calories your body is actually burning. So the first thing we need to look at is your basal metabolic rate. Now, if you don't know your basal metabolic rate, I'll put a link in the description to an easy calculator where you can kind of figure out a rough idea of what your BMR is. This is how many calories your body burns at complete rest. So what that means is if you just woke up and then you laid in bed all day doing absolutely nothing, which I hope not a lot of you are doing right now, then that would mean your body needs this amount of calories in order to just function and maintain its current state. The way we can increase our BMR is by increasing our lean muscle mass. As mentioned, this is how many calories we need to maintain the current state. So if your body has more muscle mass, it needs more calories in order to maintain said muscle mass. So BMR is number 1. Now, number 2, like we all know, is our activity levels. Now, these are higher intensity activity. So running, weightlifting, doing CrossFit, swimming, anything that's going to burn energy can, of course, be added on to your total calorie output. Now, you can absolutely use apps and trackers like your watches to give you a rough idea of how much you are burning. However, these are never 100% accurate, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, on top of our BMR and our physical activity, there are 2 other things. The first thing we'll talk about is our thermic effect of eating. Now, I'm sure that you all have heard of the meat sweats, where you eat lots and lots of protein, or you go out to dinner and you eat a massive steak and you just get so hot. Now, there's a reason for this. Protein digestion takes a lot of energy. Because the protein molecule is so compact, the body needs to work a little bit harder than, let's say, a carb or a fat molecule to break it down and get it into the system. So when you're eating lots of protein, it takes just as much energy in order to break it all down. And that's why you get that really, really hot, almost sweaty-like feeling. Now, other than protein, there are things that we can eat to increase our thermic effect of eating so that we can burn more calories without even really thinking about it. Now, this comes to things like processed versus unprocessed foods. If you're eating a diet rich of unprocessed foods, lots of vegetables, lots of lean meats, your body is going to have to work a little bit harder to break those down versus if you were eating a diet full of lots of highly processed foods, lots of very simple or unrefined sugary foods, then your body really doesn't need to work so much in order to break them down because they're already broken down, especially when it comes to the sugars. So the next time you go and create a meal, ask yourself if what you're about to eat is processed versus unprocessed, and if your body has to work a little bit harder to break down and digest that food. Now, working hard is okay. Just again, make sure that you are in a relaxed, calm, non-distracting environment where you can take the time to eat this food so that, again, it gets optimally absorbed. So we've talked about 3 things so far: our BMR, our physical activity, and our thermic effect of eating. The last one is called NEAT. That is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, when it comes to this, you can think about things like cleaning your house, just fidgeting, walking around, walking to and from work. This is all the additional activity that we're getting outside of that physical, higher intensity activity. So if you're somebody who's just naturally walking around a lot, talking to a lot of people, you are going to be burning lots more calories than somebody who might be a little bit more sedentary, sitting at an office all day. What can you take away from this video? So if you're looking to lose weight, then yes, the calories in versus calories out equation does apply. You need to be in a caloric deficit in order for you to lose weight. However, now there are 6 things that you want to take a look into. We have your calories that you're recording versus the calories that are actually being absorbed. And then we have your BMR, your physical activity, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and your thermic effect of eating. If you have more questions about this topic or don't quite understand it, don't worry. I'm going to post an article below where you can read up on it a little bit more. If you have any specific questions on how this applies to you and getting to your goals, comment below, let me know. I'll also put the link below for you to book a consultation with us so we can talk on a more personal level about this. And lastly, if you look below in our description as well, I'm going to give you a free giveaway to our Bodsy Handbook. Our Bodsy Handbook is a really easy place to get started if you're looking to kind of take your nutrition and your lifestyle to that next level. The handbook is full of really useful information on lifestyle factors like sleep and stress and hydration, but also we dive into a lot of nutrition related stuff like calories in versus calories out. So what I just said, how to balance your energy a little bit better, how to start tracking your macros, and where to start with that. So just scroll down below, check out the description. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like this and subscribe to our channel, and I will talk with you guys soon. Bye.